Ahead on Up with KREM, high school seniors in Washington State could learn some major life skills in the classroom, the curriculum of a proposed course.
Plus, I'm tracking your forecast for the day today as well as this upcoming week as it will continue to be warm and dry.
Plus, just days after the 4th of July, big box stores are already rolling out the back-to-school supplies, while the shopping season is starting earlier this year. Good morning and thank you for starting your day here with us on Up with KREM. I'm Brandon T. Jones. Over in the Weather Center, we've got Jenny Power keeping us up to date with all of the latest weather conditions. So Jenny, what can we expect this Sunday heading into the new week?
Well, Brandon, it is still going to be feeling very summery out there across the inland Northwest. And as we take a look at the extended forecast, I know I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but temperatures today in Spokane will reach the low 80s. We will see lighter winds, and these are actually going to be some of the coolest temperatures we see out of the next 7 days, as temperatures are going to climb starting tomorrow as well as into the middle of this upcoming week. So as we take a look across the region here, temperatures are still close to our average. 83 is the high for Spokane. We're looking at 81 for Coeur d'Alene. Some low 80s up north to Bonners Ferry and Sandpoint, and take a look down on the Palouse. Highs just reaching the upper 70s there. 90 for Richland and the Tri-Cities with some mid 80s out in central Washington. Now, moving forward, we are seeing some partly cloudy skies out there. It will still be partly cloudy through this afternoon before we start to see a gradual clearing trend by tonight and into tomorrow. Winds are going to be also on the calmer side. Still a little bit of a light breeze at times, but not nearly as gusty as what we were dealing with yesterday. So that's kind of the good news. The full breakdown of your extended forecast and what you need to be prepared for the upcoming week, that's in just a few minutes.
All right, we've got lots going on this weekend across the inland Northwest, so we're breaking it all down for you here in your weekend What's Up. First up, day 2 of the Spokane Lavender Festival that's been happening this weekend, and there's going to be live music, vendors, food, crafts, games, and a bunch more. Make sure to bring those cameras out because you got to go ahead and get you some of those perfect photos of all of the blooming lavender fields. And the biggest celebration happening in Post Falls, the Post Falls Festival. It promises fun for the whole family all weekend long. And elsewhere in North Idaho, Sandpoint has a boat show this weekend. Dozens of wooden boats will be exploring the lake today, and that's from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. All right, the Long Bridge pedestrian path is opening back up this week. You might remember ITD closed the bridge for emergency repairs a couple of weeks ago. It won't be fully open, but there will be a designated path so people can avoid the areas that need more repair. All right, the Spokane Public Library is yet again heading into a budget shortfall for next year. They say if the city of Spokane does not give them more funding, they will have to make some big cuts. They would have to close all libraries on Sundays and Mondays. They would also cut senior and daycare services in half. It would also impact what the library is able to purchase, like books and other materials. The library is asking the city of Spokane for $2.3 million in bridge funding for 2027. And new this week, Washington State Superintendent Chris Reichel proposed a new course for high school seniors. It would be a year-long and help students build a resume, register to vote, apply to a job, college, or the military, and even get financial aid. It would combine the existing semester-long civics requirement with another credit in financial literacy and post-secondary readiness. Reichel hopes the legislature adopts this graduation requirement during the 2027 legislative session. And kids are just settling into summer break, but if you've been to Target or Walmart recently, they're already stocked for back-to-school shopping. Karen Kafa says this is the new normal.
We're finding even though families are feeling economic pressure, it's almost treated as a non-negotiable.
In recent years, back-to-school shoppers have been met with sticker shock for reasons ranging from post-pandemic supply chain problems to tariffs. This year, gas prices have fallen off Iran war-related peaks, but they're still higher than 1 year ago. And survey data released by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York Tuesday showed consumers expect more pressure from higher prices. That's why retailers are stretching the season and the sales for consumers to browse now.
As retailers, move their sales earlier, consumers are responding to that. And we know that the consumer is very price conscious right now. They want to stretch their dollar.
Kelly Peterson, global retail leader for PwC, says their research finds more families using AI tools, especially for deal hunting.
They're also actually finding it to understand and predict where the timing around promotions is going to be. So they're using AI as almost like a digital assistant to try to figure out when should they be buying.
And retailers will be watching to see how resilient consumers remain.
This is going to be a really important season, and it will give us a perspective on where the consumer is headed as we move on in the year.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Well, some Idahoans still haven't seen their tax returns because the state ran out of money to pay them. How much longer they'll have to wait, just ahead. And a new arcade bar in Lewiston is more than just a place to play pinball and Pac-Man. How it's helping a father and son connect. We're well into summer and well past tax season, but some Idahoans never got to finish out tax season. They're still waiting for a refund, and Idaho processed a record number of tax refunds this year and essentially ran out of money to pay them. Cooper Morgan explains how much longer you'll have to wait for that return.
Filing an extension wasn't the problem.
You're missing out on important interest while the state's holding it, so they should probably be giving it back, yeah.
So why is Reed Carley still waiting for his tax refund? Especially in a year where a tax refund could help with rising costs, he's far from the only one asking.
Oh, of course. Yes. Everybody. We had a lot of people calling.
Thousands of Idahoans are asking, where's my money?
This year, we have issued a record number of tax refunds to taxpayers.
867,000 refunds have been dealt out so far, over $500 million.
That's a 28% increase in the number of taxpayers who are getting a refund this year from last year, and a 22% increase in the amount of refunds that we've issued since last year.
The spike in refunds is tied to the federal One Big Beautiful Bill, which gives new standards to tax breaks, as well as enhanced senior deductions and new deductions on tips and overtime.
All those deductions add up to more money in the pockets of taxpayers, more refunds for everybody.
All this brings us to where the problem started. By law, 20% of income tax receipts go into a special refund account. That pot of money is the only one the commission can pull from to dish out refunds. This year, the state issued far more refunds than it expected.
I don't know that we expected it to be the record that it is now.
So money was leaving that account faster than new tax revenue was coming in. And the tax commission can't just pull from the general fund. It has to request more money from the Board of Examiners.
And so in early June, we realized, boy, there are a lot more refunds going out than we're getting money into this account. So that's when we sent a letter to the Board of Examiners asking them to consider giving us more money.
The tax commission says it now has enough to clear the backlog of individual income tax refunds. About 10,500 returns are still left, and they expect to send those out by the end of this week.
And coming up, I'm tracking what you need to know in your weather forecast as we are in for an extended stretch of mostly sunny and dry conditions.
Well, this morning we're taking you to Lewiston, Idaho for our next story. This is about a father and a son connecting through pinball and Pac-Man. Here's the family behind Lewiston's new arcade bar.
F Street Bar in Lewiston is freezing time.
Not a lot of people are doing it, anymore.
More specifically, Richard Stover is responsible for this time capsule.
Once I bought my first pinball machine, that's when I kind of went a little overboard with everything.
He started filling every corner of his house.
I bought another pinball machine and I didn't have a place to put it, so I ended up pulling the kitchen stove out and putting the pinball machine right there.
But the hobby started taking up too much time.
I kind of stepped away from all the arcades and that side of life for a long time.
It was time he needed to spend with Phil, his son.
So I focused on trying to be dad, and then as he started getting older, I started kind of acquiring games again because of him.
Phil found a similar love for the past, and it allowed Richard to be present in the now.
doing this for myself allowed me to spend a lot of time with him while I was at work.
That's exactly what they got.
Is this Mandalorian? Yep. Mandalorian.
More time together.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Doing what they love, preserving the past here in Lewiston, and having fun. Because that's the point, right? In Lewiston, Nicole Legou, KREM 2 News.
Thanks so much for joining us here on Up with KREM, the Sunday edition. Taking a look at the weather forecast for the day today. Temperatures are still going to be warm, but actually a little bit cooler than what we saw yesterday. Still reaching into the low 80s this afternoon for the Spokane area. It will be sunny, at times partly cloudy, and winds are going to be on the lighter side today. So that's kind of the good news there. As we take a look at your daytime highs, pretty on par with our average. Some 83 degrees for Spokane, 81 for Coeur d'Alene. We've got low 80s north to Sandpoint as well as Bonners Ferry, and some low 90s for Richland there in the lower Columbia Basin and the Tri-Cities. Mid to upper 80s for Wenatchee and Chelan. Even cooler daytime highs this afternoon down on the Palouse, with Pullman and Moscow only reaching about 78 degrees. So when we take a look at our extended forecast, today is actually going to be some of the cooler temperatures out of the next week. So if you're someone who is extra sensitive to the heat, enjoy this little bit of a cool down in comparison to what's to come while we have it. Otherwise, through our future tracker, we are preparing to see these incoming clouds that really filled in last night. It will be partly cloudy here as we are starting off our Sunday and moving into this afternoon. But by this evening and into tomorrow, we will see a gradual clearing trend. When it comes to our winds today, the winds are going to be lighter across the inland Northwest compared to those breezy to gusty conditions we were dealing with, especially toward the central part of the state. So wind gusts are going to be closer to about 15 miles per hour in Spokane. But other than that, we continue to see much lighter winds moving forward. Taking a look across the nation, though, we are definitely seeing hot temperatures toward areas like Billings, a high of 111. For the folks in Salt Lake City, they're reaching 107 this afternoon, 109 for Phoenix as high pressure is really moving through that area of the United States. We're looking at some mid-80s for Nashville, mid-90s for Dallas, and 91 degrees is that high south to New Orleans. As we move forward and take a look at what's to come, temperatures are trending a little bit above average for this new upcoming week, which is why I'm saying if you are someone who likes temperatures that are in the low 80s, enjoy it while it lasts, folks, because we are going to be up near 90 degrees for the better part of this upcoming work week. And as far as our conditions go, we are sitting dry through the extended forecast as well, which is typical for the month of July as well as August, as July and August are both the driest months out of the year for the inland Northwest. You can always stream our live local radar, though, and get the latest updates on the weather forecast on the KREM 2 app.
Our producers here on KREM 2 love to talk all things pop culture, and they're giving us a sneak peek at their conversation in the latest episode of Pop Culture with the producers. Here's Kelsey Clark and Adriana Del Padre talking about minions and monsters and what it takes to sing in Minionese.
So they had a movie premiere, you know, all the movies have premieres. They premiered at Hollywood June 28th. And they had a Minionese singing competition. Do we have video of that Minionese singing competition? Let's take a listen.
Hi guys, I'm Ella and I'm here with Jeff Bridges and we're gonna sing a song for you today, right?
Yeah, you know Minionese?
I do know Minionese.
Let's hear it there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sing that song, baby, come on now.
Okay, so I lied. That wasn't the competition, but that was one of the competitors, just like 4 girls. That was Ella Martin, not the winner. She sang Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. I think she was the one. There was like a viral clip, and it was her. This is from her Instagram. Sorry. That's okay. That's from her Instagram, but so yeah, there was 4 competitors. Who won was Raina Kando. She sung "I'll Be There" by Jackson 5.
I have been seeing all the clips on social media.
It's so funny.
And they're so funny. And they're really accurate, too.
They're so good.
Like, when I
think
think of
talk that
Minionese singing, I think of like, what is it, Despicable Me 2, where they're singing like, I'll be there, but like in minionese.
Yeah.
And that's what I think when I sing it. But like those girls killed it. And I was like, this is great. I would genuinely play this while I'm working because it's not that like words to distract me,
it's
but
not
it's
real
like, oh,
words.
I know what this is.
That's actually so smart. I've never even considered that. But like they apparently got chosen for this. Like it wasn't like they reached out. You know, I don't know who reached out to them, to be fair, but the Minions and Monsters people reached out to these 4 girls and were like, hey, we've seen your videos online, because I guess their whole online presence, or most of their online presence, is speaking and singing in Minionese, and they're like, we want you to go compete. So they outed these girls that were wearing these yellow dresses. They were so cute. And whoever won because like they were all numbered 1 through 4. The audience yelled out the number.
Oh.
And so this girl that won, Raina Kando, her number was 4. They couldn't tell if they were saying 4 or more. And so she just kept singing and they're like, no, 4, which is really silly. She won a golden banana statue.
I would put that on my resume. I'm not going to lie.
I know. I would too. Awards and accolades, golden banana.
I have my guac-off win on my resume. I think
you do.
I do. I put that on my resume. I'm prepared in case I get invited to a party. I'm bringing
That's
salsa and guac, guys.
You got to bring the little award too.
And to watch the full episode, go ahead and check out the KREM 2 app. Kelsey and Adriana cover everything pop culture, from Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding to LeBron James. You can watch that now for free. Just use that QR code right there. All right, it's a grocery store staple. We're talking about rotisserie chicken here, folks. And before you buy your next bird, check out these rankings from Consumer Report. That's in just 3 minutes. It's a grocery store staple that often ends up on families' dinner tables, the rotisserie chicken. But it turns out not all are created equal. Consumer Reports tested some of the most popular rotisserie chickens to see which store had the best bird.
For busy families, a grocery store rotisserie chicken can be an easy dinner solution. But Consumer Reports says when it comes to taste, nutrition, and even the packaging, not all birds are created equal. Consumer Reports tested rotisserie chickens from 10 retailers, including Costco, Sam's Club, Walmart, and Whole Foods.
We tested the chickens for taste and nutrition.
Consumer Reports also screened the chickens and their packaging for chemicals commonly found in plastics.
We also tested the packages and the meat for chemicals in plastics like phthalates and bisphenol A.
Costco may have a cult following, but in CR's blind taste test, Sam's Club took the top spot for flavor.
Crust texture. It was consistent from bird to bird. The meat was very moist and juicy. It had a deep roasted flavor.
Costco, Stop & Shop, Walmart, Wegmans, and Whole Foods also made Consumer Reports' best overall list. The good news, testers found no PFAS, often called forever chemicals, in any of the chickens or their packaging. They did detect phthalates in every brand except ShopRite, but Consumer Reports says the levels were not high enough to be a concern. Most rotisserie chickens are also injected with a brine to help keep the meat moist. The trade-off? That brine can significantly increase the sodium content, which may be a concern for people watching their blood pressure. If that's a priority for you, Consumer Reports says look for brine-free options. Whole Foods was the only chicken in its test that fit the bill. Mimi Jung, King 5 News.
And there's a new sunscreen hitting the U.S. market. Why it took so long to get here and why it could be better for your skin. Ahead on Up with KREM, millions of dollars in lost wages and a lack of accountability. How construction workers in the Northwest are getting shortchanged. Plus, a new sunscreen is hitting U.S. markets this summer. What to know before you buy. And later, one Idaho family finding a way to honor their child's life. How they hope this new friendship will bring people together before it's too late. Good morning and welcome to Up with KREM. I'm Brandon T. Jones. Want to go ahead and get right on over to the Weather Center with Jenny Power, who's keeping us up to date with all of the latest weather conditions. Jenny, how's it going and what can we expect?
You know, doing good, Brandon, here on a Sunday morning. And as far as what we are seeing in your weather forecast for the day today, temperatures are a couple of degrees cooler, but still nice if you've got outdoor plans. Maybe you are trying to soak up some of the sunshine for these summer months. We are sitting partly cloudy, but it still will feel sunny and warm out there. Lighter winds than what we were dealing with yesterday. And we are going to watch for our temperatures to climb early next week. So actually, through our extended forecast today, some of the rounds of cooler temperatures that we're expected to see. So 81 degrees is the high in Coeur d'Alene. We've got some low 80s through the rest of the North Idaho Panhandle, even only reaching the upper 70s this afternoon for Pullman and Moscow down on the Palouse. Mid 80s is the high for Moses Lake and some low 90s for Richland and the Tri-Cities. Getting through your future tracker, we're starting off partly cloudy, but will gradually give way to a clearing trend as we head into this evening and get ready for this upcoming work week. When it comes to our winds, they'll still be coming from the southwest, but much lighter compared to some of the gusty conditions we were facing yesterday. The exception is still going to be up north to Omak, so that's an area that we are keeping an eye on. Otherwise, for an extended look at what we can expect for this upcoming week, stick around for my full weather forecast.
All right, thank you, Jenny. And if you're getting outside this weekend, there's a new sunscreen on the market to consider. It hasn't been allowed for sale in the U.S. until now. Christine Pei explains why it took so long to get here and how it could be better for protecting your skin.
For the first time in more than 25 years, there's a new sunscreen ingredient approved in the U.S. It's called bemotrizonal, a type of sunscreen that has already been used in Europe and Australia for 2 decades.
So it's super exciting to see it added to our repertoire here in the United States, finally.
Dr. Tanya Hathaway, a Fred Hutch dermatologist specializing in skin cancer and a professor of dermatology at UW-Medicine, tells HealthLink why it has taken so long to get here. She says in Europe, sunscreens are considered a cosmetic, while in the U.S., the FDA designates them as an over-the-counter drug.
That's a different pathway than a cosmetic, and that's where the hang-up was with this chemical sunscreen as well as with other sunscreens that may hit the market that have been available in other countries.
Bemotrizonal, commonly referred to as Parsol Shield in the U.S., also works more effectively, according to dermatologists. Unlike mineral sunscreen ingredients like zinc oxide, which sit on top of the skin and reflect UV rays, chemical filters like bemotrizonal absorb radiation. Dr. Hathaway explains it also has a larger molecule than another type used in the U.S., known as avobenzone.
So it has much less absorption compared to avobenzone. So a lot of folks are very worried about absorption of chemicals through the skin when it comes to sunscreen. And with this new chemical, bemotrizonal, there's much less absorption than avobenzone.
And it's more photostable, so it doesn't break down as quickly in the sun.
So it has the longevity that avobenzone does not have right now.
But doctors say sunscreen is only part of the equation.
Using clothing, long sleeve shirts, hats, shade protection, avoiding the very intense midday sun from 10 to 3 also helps us quite a bit in terms of mitigating our overall skin cancer risk.
Manufacturers can begin incorporating bemotrizonal for U.S. markets starting early August.
A watchdog group says construction workers are losing money because of a lack of accountability. The North Coast States Carpenters Union says 14% of the state's construction workers were improperly paid between 2011 and 2021. It adds up to about $142 million in lost wages. The union says this is happening because there aren't enough L&I inspectors to examine payroll paperwork, and they want a new law to hold general contractors responsible for paying workers what they're owed.
There just needs to be accountability, and without that, we're just going to continue to repeat history.
A similar bill died in Olympia last year. Lawmakers are expected to take another run at it in the next session. All right, still ahead, one Idaho family creating something beautiful out of their hardest moment. The story behind this new friendship bench is just next. And later, the latest Disney live-action remake hits theaters this weekend. Will you see it or will you skip it? That's in 15 minutes. In Idaho, there is now a memorial bench in a city park to remember a teen who died from suicide. But the bench does more than just honor his memory. The hope is that it will also be a spot to help others talk about mental health. Ryan Hill spoke with the family.
River was my best friend. He was 15 years old. He was smart, he was funny.
Brent Howard says when he lost his son River to suicide in 2023, he and his wife didn't see it coming. Thankfully, the J Foundation reached out to them and helped them heal. It was during this time, Howard says he wanted to find a way to honor his son's memory.
I saw a article online about some friendship benches in Rexburg at an elementary school, actually. And I thought, maybe we could create a bench as a safe place for people who are struggling.
Howard says he started researching for someone to do the job. One company said they could do it for more than $11,000, but Classic Stoneworks offered to do it for much less.
They reached out and said they'd like to help with the bench. They asked me to buy the stone. For $3,000, they would build it for free.
The acts of kindness didn't stop there. A business offered to pour the concrete, while another made the graphics for the bench, both free of charge.
None of these people would let me pay for it. They kind of donated it to make it happen, and the community thought it was a great idea.
Even the mayor of Buell was enthusiastic about the bench and decided to put it in the city park. On July 1st, the bench was dedicated and unveiled to the public.
It was heartwarming. It was amazing. I'm really thankful for everybody who made it happen.
Howard explains this bench acts as a memorial for River, as well as a place for people who are struggling internally to sit. The goal is for another person to notice and walk over and engage with them.
One person sits down and asks, "Are you okay?" and leads them in a direction away from suicide, away from self-harm. Then the bench is worth it.
Howard adds this bench is a reflection of what his son was like to others around him.
He was the kid who helped everybody. He sat with the kids who sat alone at lunch and made them feel comfortable. I've had so many of his friends reach out and tell me about how they were struggling and how he helped them find purpose and meaning.
Howard hopes hundreds of people use this bench and see it as an outlet to seek help.
And a reminder, help is always available if you or someone you know is in a crisis. Call or text 988. And still ahead here on Up with KREM, a chronic condition in women often overlooked, the warning signs to watch out for, and when you should ask your doctor about lipedema.
Thanks so much for joining us here on Up with KREM, the Sunday edition. Taking a look at the weather forecast for the day today. Temperatures are still going to be warm, but actually a little bit cooler than what we saw yesterday. Still reaching into the low 80s this afternoon for the Spokane area. It will be sunny, at times partly cloudy, and winds are going to be on the lighter side today. So that's kind of the good news there. As we take a look at your daytime highs, pretty on par with our average. Some 83 degrees for Spokane, 81 for Coeur d'Alene. We've got low 80s north to Sandpoint as well as Bonners Ferry, and some low 90s for Richland there in the lower Columbia Basin and the Tri-Cities. Mid to upper 80s for Wenatchee and Chelan. Even cooler daytime highs this afternoon down on the Palouse, with Pullman and Moscow only reaching about 78 degrees. So when we take a look at our extended forecast, today is actually going to be some of the cooler temperatures out of the next week. So if you're someone who is extra sensitive to the heat, enjoy this a little bit of a cool down in comparison to what's to come while we have it. Otherwise, through our future tracker, we are preparing to see these incoming clouds that really filled in last night. It will be partly cloudy here as we are starting off our Sunday and moving into this afternoon. But by this evening and into tomorrow, we will see a gradual clearing trend. When it comes to our winds today, the winds are going to be lighter across the inland Northwest compared to those breezy to gusty conditions we were dealing with, especially toward the central part of the state. So wind gusts are going to be closer to about 15 miles per hour in Spokane. Spokane, but other than that, we continue to see much lighter winds moving forward. Taking a look across the nation, though, we are definitely seeing hot temperatures toward areas like Billings, a high of 111. For the folks in Salt Lake City, they're reaching 107 this afternoon, 109 for Phoenix as high pressure is really moving through that area of the United States. We're looking at some mid-80s for Nashville, mid-90s for Dallas, and 91 degrees is that high south to New Orleans. As we move forward and take a look at what's to come, temperatures are trending a little bit above average for this new upcoming week, which is why I'm saying if you are someone who likes temperatures that are in the low 80s, enjoy it while it lasts, folks, because we are going to be up near 90 degrees for the better part of this upcoming work week. And as far as our conditions go, we are sitting dry through the extended forecast as well, which is typical for the month of July as well as August, as July and August are both the driest months out of the year for the inland Northwest. You can always stream our live local radar, though, and get the latest updates on the weather forecast on the KREM 2 app.
Lipedema is a chronic and progressive disease that mostly affects women. Despite how common it is, experts say it's often overlooked and undiagnosed. Mandy Gaither has more on one doctor's mission to change that.
For decades, Shannon Stevenson struggled with swelling in her right leg. At first, she blamed a past vascular procedure, but when it worsened, she sought out a doctor and learned it wasn't from the surgery after all.
I sort of was stunned. I didn't really know what he was talking about because I had never honestly heard of lipedema in all my training.
Despite being a doctor at the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, Stevenson says she didn't know anything about lipedema. And she's not alone. This 2025 study says the condition, which causes fat buildup under the skin, is under-recognized and insufficiently studied, despite an estimated 10% of women worldwide living with it.
The part that hurts is that I really wish I had known 20 years ago.
Lipedema symptoms include a buildup of fat that doesn't go away with a healthy diet, exercise, or other health interventions, an appearance of an ankle or wrist cuff, pain, tenderness, and heaviness in affected areas, fatigue, easy bruising, uneven dimpled skin, edema, and joint hypermobility.
Compression really helps with those symptoms throughout the day.
Along with specialized compression leggings that improve her circulation, Stevenson says lymphatic massage, certain diets, especially ones focused on anti-inflammatory foods, as well as certain types of exercise can also help.
If you feel like that this is your story and this is my body when I look at these photos, then go ahead and start treatment.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Researchers have discovered a link between heart problems and memory problems. A study from Max Planck Institute found that people, even with minor cardiac dysfunction, had a higher risk for microscopic brain tissue damage. That kind of damage can lead to Alzheimer's and long-term memory loss. The study says more research is still needed to fully understand the condition. All right, coming up, love them or hate them, Disney live-action remakes, they just keep coming. The latest one hitting theaters this weekend, plus a look back at some of the biggest hits and flops. All right, Jenny, the live-action Moana, it arrives to theaters this weekend.
Ooh, okay, very nice. And as David Daniel reports, it's just the latest Disney remake of an animated film. Check it out.
I'm back. The live-action Moana may be the latest Disney film, but in one sense, it's nothing new. The studio has been mining its animation library for more than 30 years.
I worship fur. Put them in a bag. I'll take them with me now. The puppies are not for sale.
Glenn Close channeled Cruella de Vil for 101 Dalmatians in 1996.
You're absolutely Alice. I'd know you anywhere.
You're all late for tea! Tim Burton tried his hand at updating 1951's Alice in Wonderland in 2010. Lily James wore the glass slippers of Cinderella in 2015, 65 years after the release of the animated classic.
The jungle is no longer safe for you.
But this is my home!
Jon Favreau combined live action and photorealistic animation for 2016's The Jungle Book. It was the second remake of the 1967 animated film. The first was in 1994.
Tell us all
Have you really read every one of these books?
Some of them are in Greek. The live-action translation of Beauty and the Beast came in 2017. The 1991 original was the first animated film nominated for the Best Picture Oscar. You have magic. A trifecta in 2019, Tim Burton returned with Dumbo, a deep cut going back to the 1941 original. Aladdin had Will Smith giving a different genie vibe than Robin Williams did in 1992. And The Lion King brought back Favreau and James Earl Jones, who voiced Mufasa just as he had 25 years earlier.
A true king searches for what he can give.
I just want to know more about them.
2023's The Little Mermaid did its best to duplicate the much-loved 1989 original, and 2025 brought a hit and a miss. Snow White, based on the 1937 classic, fizzled.
He's so cute and fluffy.
He is your responsibility. Got it.
We promise.
Yeah.
But Lilo and Stitch sizzled, becoming the 5th live-action remake to top $1 billion worldwide. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
All right, Jenny, what do you think?
Definitely. I mean, they're all classics, right? But it'll be interesting to see how Moana does, especially because, you know, in the animated films, they can do such crazy things, right? Like showing massive waves, all of that. So it's always interesting to see how the live action makes it come.
I'm not a huge live action, fan. I mean, some of them they do well. Some of them, again, I think that was the whole point of that story, right? They're complete misses. I do find interest in watching The Rock wear the wig, I think that's pretty funny. So I wonder what he was thinking as he was going through this. I wonder if he was looking in the mirror in his set, was like, hey man, The Rock looks good. I like to think The Rock is talking in third person, So who knows? I would possibly see it just because of that. I'll wait until it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I'm going to the theaters.
Probably, Disney Plus watch for sure. It's always hard too because it's not as though they're sequels, but it's not quite the original, And sometimes the originals are just like perfect how they are.
If it's not broke, don't fix it, That's how I feel. But there's an opportunity there. People can make some money off of it. We don't need to go down that line or that route or the road, whatever it may be. We just want to say thank you for joining us here on Up with KREM. We certainly appreciate you starting your day here with us, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good day, everybody.